All right, we can talk about Coach Ham. Harlan sent me some numbers, and these numbers courtesy of Clay Fink, noles247. Hey, again, I see my buddy Josh in here. There is a call-in link in the description. If anybody wants to call in and chat a little bit today, you're more than welcome to. When sorting through total wins, Coach Leonard Hamilton ends his career coaching 10 of the top 18 teams in Florida State men's basketball history: 2019, 2017, 2020, 2009, 2012, 2014, 11, 18, 2007, and 2010. Obviously, 1972, they went to the Final Four. 93, 70, 78, 55, 80, 89, 92, the other 8 of that top 18. And then you always remember the COVID year robbing, 2020. I think, clearly that was, I saw a tweet yesterday that Leonard Hamilton's best chance at a title was taken away by COVID. Mike Norvell's best chance at a title was taken away by the committee, and Link Jarrett, so far, his best title chance was taken away by the umps in a game against Tennessee. So we are absolutely cursed right now and down really bad, but hopefully the times will get better. Fortunately, softball and soccer have been keeping things afloat for us for the last 5 or 6 years. Coach Leonard Hamilton will retire with an NCAA men's basketball record, won an NCAA record 57 games against ranked teams while his teams were unranked. Winningest coach in FSU history, 5th winningest coach in ACC history, which is actually kind of ridiculous when you think about the fact that obviously Coach K is up there, Roy Williams. Like there's some insane names on that ACC coaching history list. 2018 National Coach of the Year, 3-time ACC Coach of the Year, 19 NBA draft picks, 76 of 79 seniors since 2003 have degrees. And then you also think about the Elite Eights, the runs to the Sweet 16, multiple tournament appearances. It really did feel like this program was dead a few times. That's not the most impressive. I'll say this. More impressively than anything on the court was really what he did off the court and the way that he cared about his players and the way that he was an ambassador for Florida State. I've probably been up in he's at everything. Like he just goes to everything. I've seen him at events that you would never imagine that he would be at, whether they be tennis matches, whether they be, I was at an event one time and he was at a tennis match indoors in the middle of January, like during season. And he was there. I've seen him up in the suites at FSU football games several times. Everybody goes to the football game, so I'm not giving him a lot of credit for that, right? But I've just seen him at stuff and supporting at stuff that is so impressive. And the way he cared about his players was really special. And I know these last couple of years sucked. Do I think this move should have happened earlier? Yes, because not even because I'm not Richie. I'm not this passionate basketball fan that's just like, oh my gosh, I just cannot believe that our basketball team has been struggling. But I'll tell you, I hate that we had to see this decline. Kind of the same way with Kobe. I hate the way that, like LeBron seems to be playing at not the top of his game, but still pretty high level right now. Whereas most players tail off and most players kind of decline and they're not very good at the end. And sometimes guys leave before that's the case. Like Brady. Brady understood that he was starting to take a step back and he didn't want to play and be a 7-10 team, right? Like I get that. So I just wish that Hamilton could have gone out a little bit more on top. I think with the, everybody said this, so I'm not breaking any news, but with the advent of NIL, with how recruiting changed, how COVID kind of robbed him, it just was all kind of downhill from there. But I wish we wouldn't have had to see this decline because I do think it leaves kind of a bad taste in your mouth, at least for the current moment, on Leonard Hamilton. Because you think so, not poorly of him, but you just think poorly of the basketball program because of the product the last 2 years. And it'll take a little bit of time. It'll take a couple of years for you to kind of forget about that and then remember all the good stuff. But it does suck to me that we had to see kind of this downward trajectory and him not go out. Not that he was ever going to go out on top, not that he was ever going to win a title and go out, but it'd have been cool to make a tournament, in his final year. It'd have been cool to kind of go out with a little bit better vibes, a little bit better feelings than we are right now. But that said, like just what is so impressive to me is like the person that he was. Truly a great person, a great ambassador for Florida State, somebody who absolutely, turned this program and on the court, aside from everything else, like the specific wins or whatever, I think this program was kind of dead a couple of times, and he could have been fired before they started getting really good in 2010 or so. This program could like he was not like people wanted him fired 2007, 2008. So when we just couldn't make the tournament ever. And he definitely did turn things around then, and then obviously turn it around again. After 2012, 2013, they weren't super good. And then, from 14 until just 2-3 years ago, they had beaten Florida, 6 or 7 times in a row, 7, 8 times in a row, something like that. And we're really good, right? Obviously the 2020 years in there, 2019's in there, 2021, they were good. So it was impressive that that there were a couple of times he rebuilt it. Did a good job recruiting, obviously, Jonathan Isaac, Dwayne Bacon, Malik Beasley. I think back to some of my favorite players like Al Thornton and Tony Douglas back in the mid-2000s. Michael Snare is one that, nobody will forget because of the shot against Duke and then the multiple game winners he hit. But it just seemed like they were fun. And Hamilton's run was fun. And again, it sucks the way it ends, but yeah, such is life, I guess. Cassell or Luke Laux for head coach. I'm good with anything. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know enough about. I know who Sam Cassell is for sure, but I'm not going to pretend to know enough about what the search looks like or anything like that. But Florida State's had some success bringing Seminoles home to coach. You think about Brooke over at women's basketball. You think about Link at baseball. Jennifer Hyde at women's tennis played here. Amy Bond. At women's golf played here. I think you can really get away, not get away with that, but like in some of your non-rev sports, and basketball could be a revenue sport if the team wasn't bad, but I think that you could certainly look at some of those names, and we'll see what Florida State does. Hopefully they're just competitive again. Like the ACC is so trash that there's no excuse not to be good. Right? You don't have to be competing for a national championship, but you should be making the tournament in a terrible, terrible ACC. There was a point in this year, even just 4 or 5 games ago, where you thought like, hey, they can go on a run right here. They're going to play 4 terrible teams and really have a chance in Cal, Stanford, Virginia Tech, and BC. And then they go on forward. It's pretty bad, but which forced this, obviously. But there's no excuse that they can't be competitive in the ACC. So hopefully they can get somebody in to kind of focus on that. You think the team rallies knowing it's Ham's last year? Do you think so? But I just don't know how good we can even be. Yeah, I don't know. I think they knew that beforehand. I know it wasn't finalized. I know that it wasn't like confirmed that it was his last year, but I think everybody kind of knew what was coming. And then you had the lawsuit stuff come down too, which I don't want to cloud the positive vibes with the lawsuit stuff. But yeah, I think everybody knew that this was his last year. So yeah, maybe they play really hard, especially tonight. They play tonight. And then I think, I want to beat Miami for sure. It'd be great to upset Duke. I certainly don't have any kind of aspirations of that actually happening. I think in their last game, it's against SMU, if I remember correctly. I think they'll play really hard in that one. But yeah, I just don't think they're very good. And so, yeah, I hope they rally. I hope they play really well down the stretch and get them a few more wins. But I don't know that it's going to make a massive difference because they're just not very good. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk by that, but the team, the talent is not good enough there. So we'll see. 904 Hurricane, appreciate you. Hunter, appreciate you. Dave, thanks for being in here today. Yeah, that COVID year, it's still frustrating to think about because that team was built to do it as a 2 seed. Like they were built to go out and potentially win it all. So no, I agree. It's still kind of frustrating. So